I'm the owner of Tiki Bar Soap and Steam Bath Factory, and today I am going to be doing a demo of the making of the Time Traveler. And this is a soap that is custom for Peter, aka Sharky. So it is made with locally produced beer, and I went ahead and mixed the lye into the beer. So all of the water that would normally go into our tallow-based soap is replaced by beer in this recipe. So anytime that you're making soap, you need to wear safety goggles. So I'm going to go ahead and put this on. Haven't done a video in quite some time because I don't know, I haven't. So I thought it would be a fun idea to dye my hair green for this because the Time Traveler has notes of hemp and beer, and so I went all out and did green hair. It washes out, so no worries. But Peter was having a lot of fun with the label. He put a pig on it, so I thought, you know, if he can joke around and put a pig on the label, I can join in on the fun. So if you notice that my hair and lipstick is green, that's why, because of the hemp notes in the soap. So what I'm doing right now is I'm stirring in the lye. It's already been mixed, but I like to make sure that it's fully incorporated. One thing that you don't want to do when making soap is have unmixed lye in the water. But this has been sitting for almost 45 minutes now as I've been prepping to start the video. And in another container, I have the oils, which are the base oils for the soap. And in this formula there is beef tallow, stearic acid, coconut oil, castor oil, and cocoa butter. And I'm putting on gloves right now because I don't want to get any lye or soap on my hands, because the lye would definitely burn my skin, and that's not a good thing. So you notice I'm also wearing long sleeves and pants. You want to make sure that you have on closed-toed shoes when making soap. You also want to make sure that you use only stainless steel bowls or plastic to mix with. You don't want to mix anything with aluminum, because that could liberate very toxic gases. And you also don't want to use glass because the glass could shatter. And I'm about to pull my hair back because I don't want to get hair in the soap. So that's always a good thing to do as well. So I'm now putting my green hair back into a bun. So when we make soap, we make fairly large batches. If you can see, I'm kind of struggling to get that onto the table, but with the oils alone are 10,000 grams, and then there's about 5,000 grams of lye and beer. So as you can see, as I'm pouring it, see how like darkly colored the mixture is? That's from the beer. So I'm just going to add it all in and put my bucket here so that I can wash that out later. And then I have a spatula. And what I like to do first is just mix it by hand, and then after things have been fully incorporated, I move it over to our drill press, which we have affectionately named Northern, because he's from Northern Industrial Tools. But you know, for the purpose of this video, you can consider that he was named for the Northern Lights. So basically, with the oils and the lye, with shaving soap, it starts to get kind of like clumpy, and you want to make sure that you mix until it is fully incorporated. So the type of shaving soap that we typically make is called Italian style, and with Italian style shaving soap there is a mixture of potassium and sodium hydroxide in the lye mixture. So different makers vary the percentage of this. Some makers use potassium hydroxide only, and that would be making a French style soap. But we typically, like, we do have a French style soap, but typically all of our soaps are made in the traditional Italian old world style. And I apologize for my voice being a little bit raspy. I've been sick for like the past 2 weeks, so hopefully it's not too bad or too annoying. So as you can see here, well, I guess you can't see into the bucket, or the pot, but it's starting to get incorporated. So at this point, what I would like to do is add the fragrance. So I'm going to go grab a container, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have my container and I have my fragrance blend. So all of our fragrances we blend in-house, and we typically put them in mason jars like this. If there is a light sensitive ingredient, like if there's some sort of citrus essential oil or any type of oil that can be broken down by sunlight, then we typically store those in amber glass containers, but our initial blends are made in mason jars, and there's no citrus in this, so it should be fine. So I like to add 3% of fragrance by volume for the oil weight. I do not include the weight of the water or the lye in this. The typical amount of fragrance load, or the amount of fragrance that you use, is called the fragrance load in a product. So the amount that one would use is typically 2 to 5% of the total weight of the product, but I'm doing oil weight only, so that means it brings it to about 2% of total weight. And I don't like to go all the way up to 5 because this can cause skin irritation in some people. Fragrance is a very individual thing, but a lot of times if too much is used, then that can cause skin irritation. So my fragrance has been added, and the Time Traveler, like I said, of course, has notes of hemp. It also has some like beer notes. Like the beer that I'm using is a pale ale from our local brewery called, the brewery is called Good People Brewery, and it's a really nice place to go visit. They have local bands, and their beer is actually pretty good. I can't drink beer anymore because I was diagnosed with celiac disease, but that was like maybe a year and a half ago. So before that, I drank quite a bit of beer. But some of their beers are actually nationally recognized in beer competitions. So the Snake Handler is really popular because it's a high gravity beer. But this beer is just, I believe, like 6 or 7% alcohol by volume, which is higher than Budweiser or something, but it's not very high. The reason that we're using beer in this is not just for label appeal and because it sounds cool. I mean, that's part of the reason, but it also imparts a very unique slickness to the lather, and it increases the stability of the lather, and it also just helps the soap to produce more lather. If you have tried the soap already, thank you very much, and feedback is definitely welcome, but what we have been hearing from customers thus far is that they really like the texture and the slickness of the soap. So now that this is fully incorporated, the fragrance that is fully incorporated, I am going to put the pot on Northern and get started blending. And a lot of people that make shaving soap at home will make it in their crock pot, and they use the hot process method of cooking the soap. And what that does is it adds heat to the or the reaction vessel, like if the crock pot was considered the reaction vessel. And heat is basically a catalyst, which speeds up the reaction. When you add the lye to the oils, the reaction is going to happen regardless, but it happens faster if you add heat. We can cook this and stir it on one of the burners, but because the mass of this is so great and because it's in a metal container in a stainless steel pot, basically just the stirring action, because mechanical vibrations also produce heat, so the shaft work from the blade will actually produce friction in the pot, and that will also cause the vessel to heat up. So basically just by stirring for about 30 minutes, which I have to stand here and hold it during that time, the soap is fully cooked. So we don't really have to, we don't have to heat it again, although sometimes I will put it back onto the burners if I'm making 5 or 6 batches at a time, because I want it to stay warm for when I'm scooping it out. Okay, so here we go. I need to lower this thing, well, it's already lowered, so. And then I'm gonna pick the pot up, place it there and make sure that it's secure. And I'm keeping my safety glasses on the entire time because, you know, I don't want anything to splatter up and hit me in the face. I did a segment on the news year before last, sorry, and it was like a cooking segment in which I made bar soap, and I left my goggles on the entire time that I was talking for like 15 minutes and didn't even realize it because I was so nervous. But I mean, that's always like good practice to leave the goggles on. Okay, so this thing has 2 modes. The first one is to get the blade connected, which I'm doing now. And then the second one is to get this guy inserted. All right, so it's almost secure. It's very picky about Okay, so I will probably edit those 3 minutes out, but now that the blade is in place, what I'm going to do is hold the pot and then lift. There's like a crank underneath, so I'm going to crank it up to the desired height while holding the pot. That's an important note. Okay, so I let it almost touch the bottom, but not completely. So I'm going to turn this guy on now. It's pretty noisy, not to the point where I need earplugs, but I'm just going to show how it works. I'm probably not going to show 30 minutes of me blending. So I don't blend consecutively. I basically blend a little bit and then stir, and then blend a little bit more and stir. And This guy on the side is like, you have to kind of hold the pot and move it around. You can't just leave it or the pot will basically fall off. Ask me how I know. Yeah, so I basically just stand here now and hold it during the mixing process, and then I like to scrape the sides with the spatula. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn the camera off and finish blending this, and then when it's done I am going to show you how I fill the containers and then show you the final consistency of the product while it's hot, because it really does look like salted caramel. It's so delicious looking and it smells great too.